Hey guys, this is my birthday week, so I figured what better way to celebrate than with the thing that I love the most. Timelines! That's right, it's another timeline week. And from today until Thursday, you're going to get a different timeline each day, focusing on another type of genre. Today, we're doing action, as we're going to cover the American Ninja series. I mean, you guys actually voted for this one like a little while back. So let's kick and punch things off and see if this timeline works. We'll begin back in 1985, and we meet Joe Armstrong, who just arrived on the Army base yesterday. And it's Michael Dudikoff. But Hilly is here too, but oh no, she's the Colonel's daughter and about to be kidnapped. And the evil Black Star ninjas are involved. Joe's whole platoon is wiped out, but he lives and saves Patricia, so Kung Fu Joe shows up. And here's a funny bit. In 1985, Steve James was also in Weird Science with Judy Aronson, but they didn't have any scenes together. Joe's backstory is pretty crazy, as he was found on a Pacific island 6 years ago, knocked out by an explosion, and he had complete amnesia. At 16, he was sent to reform school for almost killing someone, and then 6 months ago, he was in trouble, so either had to join the military or go to jail. He gets assigned to a new platoon, and there's a big poster for Kiss's Animalize up on the wall, and that came out in 1984, so I guess we're set after that. And they were probably concerned about lawsuits since they cover everyone's faces with stickers, and those stickers are like everywhere. And the Black Star are working with a black market guy, Victor Ortega. Joe fights and then befriends Curtis and starts a romance with Patricia, but is then ambushed. And there's this chalkboard with a bunch of to-do items up on it, and they're marked to be done in April and May of 1984. So it seems like we're set in early 84 here. Joe figures out about Ortega's operation, but is assumed to have gone AWOL, and Ronaldo's desk calendar says that it's Monday, April 16th, which is how that fell in 84, so that matches up. But then, when Joe breaks out, the MP Jeeps have this sticker on them, flat out saying 1984, so it's 100% clear at this point. Ronaldo is killed in a crash, and you know, Joe's not so much a ninja. I mean, he does martial arts and is a pretty solid fighter, but I don't really think he does much ninja-ing. He's reunited with Shinyuki, who found Joe at 6 years old and trained him, but they were separated in that explosion. And okay, here's where it gets weird. They show him at the time of the explosion, and he looks like this. But they said this was 6 years ago. But the difference between this Joe and this one is 6 years? Quick note that Dudikoff was born in 1954, so he'd be 30 years old here, but I guess is supposed to be playing like 18 or 19. Joe finally ninjas up, coming to Patricia's rescue with Curtis and crew as cavalry, and there's a final showdown on a helicopter as he saves the girl while Curtis blows it up, saving the day. With that film being a bit of a surprise hit, 2 years later, in 1987, American Ninja 2, The Confrontation was released, and starts with a group of Marines in the Caribbean, being kidnapped by a group of ninjas, and then both Joe and Curtis are back, and they've been promoted and are sent to investigate. And is this guy just goofing?
You guys see a couple of Marines by any chance?
No.
We're supposed to pick up these 2 Marines on this flight.
Like, I get that they were expecting Marines and not Army, but did he think that there were just 2 other military dudes with the same names, it's like on our uniform, who just happened to be there? So they're there to help figure out why 20 Marines have gone missing, and because of the disappearances, they dress as casual as possible so no one knows they're Marines. Very quickly, they're ambushed by a group of ninjas, and watching movies in the 80s, you were deathly afraid of 2 things: quicksand and ninjas. They were everywhere, and you were like really sure one of them were going to kill you. They escape and go undercover as Marines, and I don't know if this extra wasn't clear if she was not supposed to walk right in front of the shot, or if the cameraman was like, screw those guys, I'm following her. And you know, there's not enough serious action films that feature a bowling pin sound effect in the middle of a fight scene. And they rescue a girl named Alicia with the help of young Toto. And it turns out that the ninjas are actually biologically engineered, and the kidnapped Marines were used as test subjects. And they have to infiltrate Dr. the Lion's Island, and he has an Obi-Wan style vision of Shinyuki before trying to free the Marines from the beginning. Curtis once again brings the backup, and there's a big brawl, but the good professor rigs everything to blow up and kills them both. And you know, what's the use of genetically enhanced super ninjas if they can't even defeat a handful of regular soldiers? It seems like a ton of work to just have guys that don't perform any better than non-genetically enhanced guys. Joe defeats the big bad ninja, and there's no date given this one, but it's fine to just say real time here, and it's 1987, and 3 years have passed since the last film, giving the boys time to rise up in the ranks. That film didn't do so well, but they pushed forth anyway 2 years later with American Ninja 3: Blood Hunt. It begins in 1979 at a martial arts tournament, and I love this extra here because she just looks like she does not want to be there, and she peeks at the camera twice. Young Sean here sees his dad, one of the fighters, gunned down in a robbery, and then in 1980 we see him now being trained by his dad's friend, who I guess has this "does this make me look older" beard. Time passes and Sean ages, and he's at least 10 years older, so this is like 1989 at a minimum, and it says present day, so I think we can assume real-time 89 then. And there's a meetup of villain-type characters, and this guy with the worst dubbing outside of Kung Fu theater.
It all sounds quite impressive, Doctor. But until you prove its ability to defeat any human, or should I say, even the strongest human, they'll not buy.
Curtis is here wearing a t-shirt that I really want, and he meets Sean, who's a martial arts superstar now, and there's a big tournament that they're in, and yep, Joe's not in this one because Dudikoff passed. This film was shot during the push for apartheid in South Africa, and Dudikoff was against it and didn't want to shoot there. Sean wins the day, but then witnesses a kidnapping, and it's his hold master, so he teams up with Curtis to try to find out who took him. Curtis says that he thought he stopped doing stuff like this when he left Joe back in the army, referencing the other films, and they track the ninja dudes to an experimental drug factory and try to figure it out. And whoa, Curtis, giving us a little view there, huh? And the lab is run by the Cobra and his assistant Chan Lee. And when Sean tries to bust in, he's captured, but things take a wild turn as the secretary of the Minister of the Interior turns out to be Lee in disguise. And then Sean is injected with a deadly virus, and his master was never there, and was just Lee in disguise to lure him in. But she's not evil, she was just tricked. This is way more convoluted than it needs to be. But anyway, she gets shot, and they try to break into the labs, but he's told there's no antidote, but he manages to fight off the effects anyway, and then takes out the Cobra. But then, there is an antidote, but he throws it aside and says he doesn't need it. But take it anyway, dude. Curtis says he's been fighting ninjas a long time, and yeah, it's been 5 years. 2 more years have passed, and in 1991, we got American Ninja 4: The Annihilation, which kicks off with a Delta Force fighting a bunch of ninja and getting captured. And then Sean's back as the best man at a fellow agent's wedding, and they're called away to a mission in the middle of it. And the office has a picture of George Bush up on the wall. So it's assumed that he was president at the time, so we're post-89. So definitely after the last one. And those soldiers are being ransomed, and Sean asks about Joe Armstrong, and they say that he's in the Peace Corps now. So him and Carl parachute in, and I'm not sure what country they're headed into, but they go into a bar and everyone seems super American, but the villainous Mulgrew is here and kicks things off. They find Babs Peterson and she helps them out, but they end up getting captured eventually. And then it's either American Ninja or Assassin's Creed, I don't know, as our guys get tortured by Mulgrew and his partner, the Sheik. And then Joe's back because the producers agreed to not shoot this one in South Africa, and he's teaching kids. And they're trying to bring him in to help Sean. And he goes and immediately gets attacked. And like, where does this guy come from? Like, they show the road, and there doesn't seem to be anything to jump off of. And then he meets up with a group of rebels in the area. And this is a pretty obscure reference, but Gorilla from Kill and Kill Again is here. So they run a distraction so Joe can break into their fortress, and the two American ninjas end up fighting each other. But oops! One is a decoy, and everyone ends up in a big fight with Joe taking on the big bad ninja, where he actually just blows him up, and Sean defeats Mulgrew. And I guess he kills him? Like, he kicks him onto a table, and then I guess he's just like frozen in place, and the rebels clear out everyone else, and then Joe returns to his life as a teacher. There is no date given and no context between this and the others, so Real-Time 91 is fine. So that was technically the end, but it was also, wasn't, because in 1993, American Ninja 5 came out, and Sean is back, but...
Key West Boat Repair.
Joe's Jim.
Oh, I guess he's Joe now? Like Joe Armstrong Joe? But no, he's meant to be an entirely new character because this was never meant to be an American Ninja movie. It was filmed under the title American Dragons and intended to be its own thing. But then the AN title was slapped on. So you have this standard corporate guy involved in shady lab dealings and in bed with a shady foreign military guy, and when his top scientist refuses to keep doing bad stuff, he hires his ninja to go get his daughter. Arnold from Happy Days is here, and it's a shame that he never did anything other than that. There's no other famous roles that he was known for. And he's training a young student and asks Joe to teach him some things. And the Viper shows up to kidnap the Doc's daughter, Lisa, but Joe's there and gives chase. And this kid talks about playing on his Game Gear, which was Sega's handheld gaming unit that came out in 1991 in the US. So we're past that, and Joe manages to sneak aboard the villain's plane. But Hero tags along. Joe gets nabbed, but Hero busts him out. And then can someone explain how this works? Like they think they shoot Joe in the van and open the back door and look inside, and he's gone, nowhere to be seen. But then 2 seconds later, he just appears out of nowhere and kicks them. Where was he hiding in here? Up in the roof? They have to save Lisa.
Scientists are always screwing up the world with one thing or another.
Yeah, those damn scientists screwing things up with their curing of polio, creating penicillin, inventing electricity, developing the internet, and I don't know, basically everything that makes civilization work. Joe is then seemingly killed, so Hero has to find the American embassy and tries to trade other kids for directions by offering his Game Gear, but they don't want it. So basically every kid, when that thing came out, and Joe's fine, and they even refer to him as the American Ninja. So it's weird that they didn't intend this as part of the series. And they give Joe's backstory, and it's made very clear that he's not Sean, and that he's also not somehow Joe that Dudikoff played. And this is a new character in case we wanted to try to fit this in with the others, like saying Sean changed his name or something. We can't. This is totally separate. Hero taps into his inborn ninja-ness, and they rescue Lisa with the mob of very color-coded ninjas chasing behind, and then has to try to get the Doc back and faces off against the Viper, taking him out and I guess making him explode? Glock dies from his own gas, but Viper's still around and they fight on an airplane, but Hero hits him with a slingshot, giving one of the goofiest reactions ever, and he's knocked from the plane. They hang out afterwards, and then Hero magically transforms from a kid into a flipping adult man and back to a kid. They live happily ever after, and that was it for the franchise. There were a couple of unofficial connections, though. There was a movie in 1992 called Lethal Ninja that's from the American Ninja producers and does feature a character that is referred to as an American Ninja, but it's not connected to the regular series. There's also 1993's American Samurai, which has a similar sounding title, features Sean actor David Bradley, and is directed by the first American Ninjas director Sam Furstenberg, but it's just a similar theme, and again, not connected in any way. So there you have it, 5 movies, 4 of which are connected and 1 which is completely separate. And the timeline, works. It's totally fine. There's really no big blips with that timeline, and continuity works with the exception of the 5th movie, which again is just a different character and a different story. But yeah, overall, the continuity and timeline works, but the movies, they're fine. They're kind of boring, to be honest. I realized that with action movies, I need things to be very bizarre and kind of strange and hyper for me to get behind them. I think between the Iron Eagle timeline and this one, I'm just not that into like standard action movies. But these were entertaining. There was some entertaining moments. I think the second one was the best one of the group. It was the one that kind of had the most fun stuff going on. But for the most part, I'm not too crazy into these, but I wasn't mad at them. They're fine. If you really enjoy them, if you love these, if you have a soft spot for this kind of action movie, tell me down below. I want to hear it in the comments. I want to hear which of these you like the most, or if you've never seen them, tell me that down below in the comments. I want to hear it. Give a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/movietimelines. Appreciate that. But keep on watching. We got a different timeline coming to you every day of this week, and we'll see you tomorrow for another great video. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.